Remi Adeleke, welcome to the Awesome Dad Show. How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
I'm excellent. I'm
Yeah.
blessed. It's 2020. I'm excited to hit off the year with another great interview.
Amen. Amen. Me too. It's my
So
first
Remi,
one of the year.
absolutely. Remi, you've got a very compelling story. You've done a lot of really amazing things. Um, but I want to start here with your military service. How
Yeah.
did joining the military set you on the right path to become the best version of yourself?
Oh, wow. So many ways. I mean, one, it gave me discipline that I desperately needed, especially, going to BUD/S and SEAL training. You absolutely have to be disciplined or you get crushed or you get pushed out of the program. And so it gave me a level of discipline that I definitely needed. As a matter of fact, I still rely on it to this day. I think it was good that I didn't go to college before the military because I would have never made it through. But when I finally did go to college after the military, I breezed through it because I had discipline that was embedded in me. I learned a lot of lessons about leadership, especially leadership at every level, caring about your people, leading from the front. Like what I mean by that is not making your subordinates do something that you have never done or you're not willing to do. So leadership was a key lesson that I took away from my time in the military. Communication, it gave me, I can go on and on and on. So just cut me off. I'm going too
Well,
far.
let me segue that into another question.
Yeah.
What is an example in your daily life that you're using to help build up your kids, right? Because that's kind of what we're here to do as fathers is to lead our kids to make the right decisions so they can be better than us.
Yeah. Well, that's simple. For me, it's, living by example. Growing up as a kid in certain venues, I saw hypocrisy. And so, not necessarily not from my mom, but, just from other people I kind of, spent some time around. They would tell me not to do something, but then they would be doing the same thing that they would be telling me not to do. And so for me as a father, one of the big things is, I try to live by example. And for example, keeping my word. It's one thing I tell my kids all the time. It's important for you to keep your word. And that often gets me in trouble because, my kid will be watching, TV or, cartoon channel or whatever. And a commercial for like a comic book movie will come on and they'll see the trailer and they'll say, Dad, can we go see it? And it'd be Spider-Man or something simple like that. And I'll say, sure, yeah, we can go see it. So then, my wife will come home and they'll tell my wife, hey, Daddy said we can go see Spider-Man. And then my wife will go look at the trailer and she'll say, no, you cannot take them to go see that movie. They are not allowed to go see that movie. But for me, I already gave them my word that I would take them to go see it. So I'll take them to go see it, and then they'll tell on me, and I'll get in trouble. But I say that to say, I try to set that example within them is, whatever you say you're going to do it. And when they make a promise to me, or if I tell them, if they say, Daddy, I'm gonna eat all my food. Just like, because you gave me a treat earlier today, and they don't, they're trying to walk away from the table, I try to tell them, remember about keeping your word. And they'll say, yeah. And I said, Daddy keeps his word all the time. And they say, yeah, Daddy does keep his word. Okay. And they'll sit back at the table and eat all their food. So that's just an example. I just try to live by example.
Yeah, I think that's the best way,
Yeah.
not just with your kids, but for everyone. If you lead
Absolutely.
by example, if you're true to your word, you do what you execute what you say. That's the key, I think, in leadership in general.
Yeah.
But inevitably, we all fail, right?
Yeah.
Because we're a mess. Life is tough. Things happen. Can you think of an example where maybe you fell a little bit short in your kids' eyes and you had to have a conversation with them? I feel like I struggle with TV a lot, right? So, for example, I'll say, you know what? I don't want you watching TV in the morning, daughter, because it rots your brain. And then I get home from work and I put on the TV and I think to myself, is this the best example to set?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I'm trying to think. That's one of my go-tos at times, and it's specifically when I'm so busy with work. And my wife is a doctor, and so our nanny I work from home when I'm not traveling, and so our nanny will leave at 4:30. But there's times when some of my daily work will bleed until post 4:30, and it's just so easy for me to put the TV on and take that meeting. And so I think that's one of the things where I fall short is there's times when I could say, I'm not going to take this meeting, or I'm not, and that's where I'm conflicted a lot because, growing up the way I grew up, poor for the most part, I want to give I want to give my kids a life that I never had. I don't ever want them to experience the way I experienced growing up. I want them to have everything they need and more. And so for me, what that means is I need to work hard, and so I need to take those meetings. I need to sit at my computer and, write an extra chapter or write another scene or do those things. So that's where I get conflicted. And I think that that's where I fall short at times is where, I'll put work over quality time with my kids sometimes. And that's something that I'm still working on. And I really try to delineate so that way time is not bleeding over.
I very much struggle with that as well. Anytime you're doing anything where you're working from home or working late hours, it's so easy to miss out on that. One of the things I try to do is try to get my kids involved or incorporated. I started a new thing with my wife, actually. We do what's called date night live. So I can still reach the audience that enjoys the content that I produce here at ActedAd. But I also can spend quality time with my wife because let's face it, as fathers, your time gets restricted. How do you handle all this? The book writing, the exercise regimen, the kids, and the marriage. How do you balance all of that?
Schedule. Schedule. I've created a strict schedule that I try to stick to. And the cool thing about my wife's job is, she has a set schedule where she works every Wednesday and Thursday and every other Friday. And so, again, my day starts around 8:30 in the morning. So I'm the one that takes, when my wife is at work, I get the kids ready for school. I take them to school. And then, my youngest is 9 months. So we have a nanny here during the day. And, I get back before my nanny gets in at 8:30. And then, I go to the gym and I work out. That's the way I kind of start my day to get my mind going. I get a lot of ideas when I work out, and then I'll come back, take a shower, and then I'm at the computer for the rest of the day, and until 4:30. And so essentially, the way I try to do it is I just try to have a strict schedule. And then, me and my wife, we've been trying to work on a better way of scheduling date nights because that's been hard for us because we don't have any family where we live, so we have to, find, we have to hire our nannies and stuff like that and find the right schedule. So I don't know.
What's your go-to date night routine? Is it just dinner and a movie, or do you try to mix it up and do something exciting?
It's usually dinner. That's been our go-to as of late is we just go out, sit across from each other. My wife doesn't like doing date night, like a movie date night. Because she's just like, well, that's not,
you're not getting to know each other better.
We're not talking. We're not communicating. But we did go 2 weeks ago. We actually went on a weekend date where we flew to Houston, and it was just me and her. And so we had time to do everything. We ate at all these different restaurants, and then we went to go see Star Wars. And then, we were able to, spend a lot of good quality time together. And we went to a wedding as well. And so, so that's when we qualify for the movies, when we have a whole day or two. But it's usually dinner, when we're home and it's us with the kids and we bring a nanny and it's dinner.
You end up just talking about the kids the whole time anyway, right? That's kind of
no. We try not to. No, I
like that.
We just try to. We try to connect on, just on a personal level as far as what's, how's your life going, what's going on behind that skull of yours, and vice versa. And, there are times when the kids will come up, but for the most part, no, we really just try to reconnect, in an intimate way with each other,
Yeah, you cannot understate the value of doing that enough.
Yeah.
I was talking to Trent Dilfer a couple months ago, and we were just talking about life moves through different phases, and you might be in the baby phase now or the teenager phase now, but eventually when the kids move out, you have to make sure that you've facilitated communication with your spouse.
Absolutely.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about bullies.
Yeah.
Okay? Bullies are something I think a lot about, Remi, and I know that you have a particular distaste for bullies.
Yeah.
Why don't you back it up and tell us a little bit why bullies are something that you dislike so much? Why don't you give us a little backstory?
Yeah, I think for me it was because of, growing up in the Bronx, I saw, we didn't call it bullying. It was like, we just called it, you got beat up, or you got jumped, or, you got messed with, or whatever. It was just like the way of life, right? And so, why I hated bullying was because I just witnessed a lot of it. I remember walking home from school and seeing, 5 kids beating on one kid, you know what I mean? And that was just the norm, and then, when gangs started to become more prominent in the Bronx, there were people that gangs would go up to people and just slash their face or jump them or rob them and rip their chain off. And it's people they knew, so, and then I got jumped. I remember I was about 9 years old, and I was on the basketball court, and I got into a disagreement with this kid who I was friends with, and he went and got his uncle and his who had just got out of prison, and his friend and his brother, and they beat me to a pulp, and then I was made fun of a lot. My brother was made fun of a lot, and so I think the reason why I hate bullies is because I experienced being bullied. And I've seen a lot of people experience, be bullied, and so that's kind of where the inception of my disdain for it came.
How did you? I think that a lot of our confidence. This is another point you had mentioned that I've heard, Remi, is that kids. We'll take boys in this example. Boys are looking for a father to teach them how to handle life's challenges, like being bullied or messed with at the playground or whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point in the Bronx, your father had passed away. You lost everything.
Yeah.
You're here in the Bronx. You're getting bullied. How did you dig down to fight? Like, what gave you the strength, the power to say, okay, I'm not going to succumb to what's being thrown at me right now?
I think a lot of it was my mom, man. My mom, she's the epitome of perseverance, every day of my life, I had a chance to witness a woman, especially in my younger years, who would constantly, be knocked down, but pick herself back up. And it was just second nature for her to do that. So through osmosis, that just became a part of my nature, and so it was just normal for me when I would get beat up to get back up. Like, I remember there were times I would get beat up, and I would the beatings were a lot worse for me because I would get back up and I wouldn't stay down, and I would get in the face of guys and I would just get beat up again. I would just take, I would take a harder beating, and I just kept getting back up. I just, and I was always really defiant. And so, I think, again, going back to your question, it came from my mom, and seeing her, just be kicked. And, when my dad died, I don't share the story in my book, but when my dad died, one of the first things she did was she called up a cousin of hers, and she asked her cousin if she could borrow some money, because she had no money. My dad had lost everything. She had no money to take care of my brother and I. And this family member said, "Let me call you back in 5 minutes." And 5 minutes later, his wife called my mom back and pretty much flipped out on her and said, "How dare you call my husband and ask him for money? Who do you think you are? If you need something, you go through me." And here my mom just lost her husband. She has 2 boys to raise, no money. And this family member has the means to help her. And instead, this family member kicks her while she's down. And so, but my mom, she was rejected, but my mom just, it was good for her, because she was just like, you know what? I'm never going to be in this situation again where I have to depend on somebody. She just put the pedal to the metal and picked herself up. So I say that to say, I got it all from my mom. And even to this day, I still go through hard things in life, and to this day. And there's times when I do where I just think back to my mom. Like, I just think back to all the years of perseverance, and just grit, and even to this day, so yeah.
It's amazing what a good mom will do for you.
Yeah.
Now, in this case, fast forwarding a bit, we're kind of jumping a little around here, but fast forward a little bit, your kids are growing up in a world where you can be bullied, not just at the playground, but in your home. And we're seeing that manifest in mass depression and suicide rates climbing. What are some ways that you try to execute that osmosis to your kids so that they are able to go online, go on their phone, or on your phone, your tablet, or whatever they're connected? They're always connected. What's the way that you try to execute osmosis to give them the ability to fight that?
That's kind of a hard question to answer, because my oldest is about to turn 6, and my middle is 4 and my youngest is not much. So none of them have access to any of that technology yet. But it's just, now at the age that they're at now, I just try to affirm them, first and foremost, and tell them over and over again, you're strong, you're smart, you're handsome, you're great boys, you're going to be great men. So I'm always, every day, as a matter of fact, when I drive my oldest to school, we have this mantra that I make him recite, and essentially like, I am smart. I am going to be a good friend in school today. He repeats after me. And so I just try to do those things. So he's getting them in his mind, by repeating those words. He's speaking those words over himself. So that if anything comes up, if he, fails a test, or, if something happens on the playground, he knows I am smart. Like, I'm a good boy. I will forgive, those type of things. So that's just something that I do now with my sons.
I like that. That's super practical. And it's not actually the first time I've heard this. I was interviewing another Marine. He was a Marine. He's now does a lot of leadership keynotes and discussions. His name is Abiud Montez. He was on the show. But those words of affirmation, it can be really powerful, because you can get negativity in so many different directions.
Absolutely.
Manifest.
No, I'm sorry to cut you off. And I think, one of the issues I had, especially I got into my teens, was I was always seeking for affirmation from my friends and from, girls and all of these things. And I think one of the reasons why I did was because I never had it from a father. I think, it's important for kids to get it from a father. And so, and it really set me down a dark path for a long period of time. And I think that, when you even look at pro athletes, and they have to buy the gold chains, they have to drive the big cars and all of these things, and not just one, but multiple cars, and have multiple houses. And I can't remember the statistics, but they're pretty high as far as, pro athletes who end up broke after they, leave athletics. And I think that one of the reasons why this happens, and guys go to strip clubs and make it rain and all, is because they're trying to receive that affirmation that they never received from their fathers, right? And so, affirmation is important for young kids. And again, it affected me not having it from a father. Yeah, you can get it from your mom, but I think it's one thing to get it from a father. And so again, that's why I try to affirm my sons, to set them up for success moving forward.
Yeah, be that role model. Is there anything, and man, it's kind of scary, some of the statistics that we're seeing coming out of marriages. 50% of marriages ending in divorce.
Yeah.
A lot of those kids are getting put in these split household situations. And I don't want to go down a path you're maybe not comfortable with, but how can we help instill how can we teach these young boys in particular, but young men and women that are growing up in split households? Maybe they don't have access to their dad. They can't see their dad. What are some ways that we can find a good role model, a good father figure for them, when there's maybe not one directly available?
All right, I want to make sure I'm answering your question right. So you're essentially asking, how can we, like, as in me and you, or men in general?
I think as a society, how can we find positive male role models for our kids, as opposed to what we see, like you said, in music videos or on Instagram? How can we instill what's actually important?
Honestly, man, I think, as it relates to single parent home, I think it really falls on the person in the home, right? So I think it really falls on the mom. If the dad's not there, I think it's important for the mom to help find that role model, or find that family member that's close by, because that's where it starts. It starts in the home. You know what I mean? Like, if it's kind of like one of those things, if I don't know how to help you, I can't help you. You know what I mean? And so where a kid doesn't have enough, brains, so to speak, especially a teenager, because they think they know everything, right? But, they don't have enough, know-all to realize this is what I need. Right? As a teenager, I didn't know this is what I need. I need a male figure. So who's the next person who does? It's the next person in the home. right? And so, case in point, I have a buddy of mine, and he went through a really bad divorce, and he has split custody with his daughter. Him and his wife split custody with his daughter, and so there's some things that have gone on the mother's side, and so what he realizes that his daughter needs a good mom, or a good, she needs that extra. So what he does at times, he calls up my wife and he says, hey, I'm going through this with my daughter, or what do you think? Or how can you pick out this dress? What should I do here? And because he knows what his daughter needs, And so I think it kind of goes back to the home, it goes back to the mother or the father, saying, okay, my child is growing up rapidly. There is a void here. How can I find somebody to step in the gap in the meantime? If that makes sense.
It definitely makes sense. It's got to start in the family, inside the household. It's really hard to outsource that. I just think there's something that's inside us that's driven. Maybe it's capitalism or whatever, but that's a whole nother segue. Okay, so speaking of segues, your book. How important do you think that book has been in inspiring your kids? Because writing a book is pretty tough, right? Writing a book. The book is transformed. And so how did writing Transformed inspire those around you to be better?
Oh, wow. I mean, I think, I get messages about every day from people all across the world who are just like, man, I read the book and it blessed me. And I think it was really important for me to write it and not just write it, but be honest with my failures. And I think that's some of the feedback I get from that's a big consistent piece of feedback that I get from people who read the book is, we're so glad that you were transparent, that you were honest, that you were honest about your failures and your mistakes. Because now that's helped me to be honest about my failures and mistakes, and it's helped me to realize that I'm responsible for my failure in this area of my life. It's not this person, it's not that person. So thank you for that. So it's been huge, and it's been a huge encouragement for me to get the feedback that I've been getting from people who've read the book.
Super powerful. The worst thing I think you can do is make excuses. Stepping up, taking control, it's absolutely crucial. So definitely want to check out the Transform book. Mine is on order. Haven't received it yet, but I'm looking forward to checking that out soon. All right, before I get into the rapid fire portion here, Remi, why don't you break down where people can find you? Where do we want to send people if they want to know more about what you're doing?
So you could find me. I'm on every social media platform. I was blessed with a unique name, Remi Adeleke. So it's easy to find. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I do have a Snapchat account just because I wanted to make sure the name was protected, but I don't use it. And then a lot of information on my book and who I am can be found on the book website. It's called transformstory.com. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me.
And we're just very much touching the surface of Remi's story. It is just, it's a crazy roller coaster of ups and downs, royalty, slums, government, SEAL training, very cold water. It's very, very compelling. I wanted to get into a little bit of deeper stuff here. There's a few other really great interviews that I've heard. But let's jump into the rapid fire here. Remi, what's your favorite story to tell to your kids?
Wow, my favorite story to tell to my kids. Oh, that's a good question. Well, they're always asking me. I kind of gotta go back. They see the pictures of me as a SEAL and geared up on deployment and stuff. So they're always asking me questions about it, and so I tell them little stories and stuff like that. So that's my favorite thing to do. And it's so funny because everybody's a Navy SEAL. Like every time they go on, they see something on TV, somebody in a military uniform, or or somebody walking down the street. They're like, "That's a Navy SEAL. That's a Navy SEAL." So it's cool to explain what a SEAL is to them, and so I don't know, that's
you're able to use probably little stories from your time there to help drive home points now too, right? Because kids tend to have it one in one ear, out the other. But if you can make it relatable with a story,
No, absolutely. And, you know, one thing I do try to, you know, share stories about is, you know, recently, you know, I try to, because my mom did it a lot as a kid. She used to remind my brother and I where we came from. And, you know, say, you know, your dad was a chief, you know, and your grandfather was a chief, and your name means this, and you were Nigerian, you are Nigerian royalty and stuff like that. So all three of my kids, their middle names are Nigerian names. And so, I remind them, this is who you are. This is who your grandfather was. This is, you know, this is what Ade Remi means. This is what Ade Bio means. This is what Ade Jare means. This is what Ade Leke means. The crown is above. Always remember that. So those are the stories I really try to, you know, consistently hammer home to them. It's like, this is who you are. And this is where you come from.
I mean, I love that. We're talking earlier about instilling confidence in your kids, and
Exactly.
nothing is more empowering than, I think, being proud of where you come from. That's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of where you come from, cities, what's your favorite city to visit? Where's your favorite city to visit?
My favorite city to visit. Wow. I love warm weather, so I would have to go with a favorite city in the world or favorite city in the country.
Wherever you like. Wherever you like.
Maui, man.
Maui, got it.
I don't know if I would consider that a city, but that's my favorite place to visit, man.
Cool. I haven't made it over to Hawaii yet, but that is definitely on the bucket list.
Yeah.
So pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Nay.
Nay. Okay. You're going to Maui, man. So you might start.
No. You can't have something sweet and fruit on pizza. It's just not. It doesn't go with me.
Okay, fair enough. Have you ever been to any of the Army Navy football games? Is that
I did. I went to one in Philadelphia, I want to say about 6 years ago. Yeah.
How was that? Was that pretty intense? Did you get into it? You know?
Yeah, I did it. But, you know, it was freezing cold outside. But thankfully, we were in a suite. We were in one of those boxes. So it was nice and warm. But yeah, I did get into it. It was a lot of talk, you know. It was, you know,
right.
A lot of people talking, so I couldn't really focus on the games.
Yeah, my dad was in the Navy, so every year that's a big event for him.
Yeah.
If you could speak to any person in history, who would it be, Remi?
That's a great question. Any person in history, I would say, you know, I'm James Baldwin. You know, James Baldwin's one of my favorite writers, and so I would just say, you know, I would say Jimmy.
Good deal. Good deal. Jim Baldwin. And then final question here for you, Remi.
Yeah.
Billboard message that can reach millions and millions of people. What are you putting on that billboard?
A failure is only a failure if you don't learn from it. If you learn from it, it's a lesson.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Words to live by.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Remi, it's been a real pleasure, man. I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to chat with me on
Absolutely.
Act to Dad, the Awesome Dad Show. And any final words before I let you go here?
No. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been an honor and blessing, brother.
I appreciate you. Nothing but blessings for you, your book, your movie career. It's really great seeing awesome fathers getting out there in changing what it actually means to be a dad. So I have a lot of respect for you.
Most definitely. Thank you, my brother. Same here. Much respect for you and what you do. Thanks for getting the word out there.
Absolutely.
Yes,
you deserve it. Your story needs to be told.
Thank you, brother.
Peace.
Yes, sir.